What a great day. I do want to pass along the scoring of the contact card. I wanted to wait and not burst your bubble. I wanted all the energy to be maintained during the door knocking, but I have that an enviable job of releasing the score. So we did get a 30% result from Monday. We're still tabulating our results from today. I hope everybody has turned in their metrics. We'll give that to you later on. But our score for our contact cards is a generous D. It's a generous D. All right? So it's not an F, it's a D. So the last group got an F the first time. It was so frustrating that I just failed everybody. But so a D means you graduate if you stay enrolled. So if you leave, you fail. So D's don't transfer. But the good news is we get to get another score today from your contact cards, and then tomorrow. So this was your original score. So we will look at it objectively and with a little bit of grace and see if we can make some improvement. The good news is there's a lot more room up than down, and so I'm pretty sure you're going to be heading in the right direction. Continue to work on it. I can already see some improvements. The ones you presented, at least you told me about, you were spot on. In fact, even that one that was not going to be the few, and I said, that's the few. If they ask you to come back, or they say, yeah, you can come back about noon, that's the few. You know, if somebody says, hey, I want to interact with you. So those transition that contact from contact to few. I need to come up with some bullet points on how to recognize the difference, but I know this doesn't sound scientific, but it's a gut instinct. It really is. And some of this, I'm wanting you to use your skill set as a human being, as a Christian, to decide, okay, does this one, I don't want to set a bunch of parameters. I'd rather allow you to use your experience and your human instincts given by God to make that decision. But so far it's been really good. We will reevaluate the teams every day. Sometimes our teams change. Again, for those who've taken off work to be here, we are grateful because we know that you're putting in your family time here. So I want to talk about compassion cards. Compassion cards are a very important part of our school's strategy. I'll tell you a little history. So when I was at Willette, I was looking for a way to get contacts. I finally realized that the members, they hold all the cards. I don't really hold any cards. I don't know anybody. And so when I started asking the members to give contacts, that was a game changer. So now I have them. I didn't have them before, now I have them. Now I've got the job of taking these names, and now how do I get a Bible study? Well, I quickly learned that asking people for Bible studies is not a sin, but it's not effective. It gives them an opportunity to say no. In fact, it encourages them to say no, right? So if I say, hey, would you like to have a Bible study? It's almost like you're saying, hey, I know more about the Bible than you do, let me teach you. And so, and although that may be true, it probably is, it puts you them into an inferior position, and if they have pride or other issues, they're just not going to do it. It's like knocking on the door and someone says, I'm a preacher, right? Jared had that happen today. He's a dad of all places. He said, we knocked on the door, the guy's he's a preacher. And so that's a very difficult order, right? Jared's younger. Here's his preacher. He thinks he knows, everything. And he starts asking Jared questions. So he turns it right around. And the same is true in that regard. So when we're looking at trying to prospect, how do we do so in an indirect manner? How do we do so without being obtrusive, confrontational, awkward, without causing friction? All right? We have found that compassion cards accomplish this 9 times out of 10. It is a great way of approaching people. It puts it in their mailbox, it allows them to get it on their own time. It's handwritten and personal, which is something that we don't often see today, right? Everything's electronic. I mean, we get birthday cards. What? In the email? How many of you like birthday cards from emails? I got up this morning, my wife said, Rob, we forgot to send Joey Barkley. Y'all know Joey, right? We forgot to send Joey a birthday card. And Hannah said, well, just send him an email. And I was like, yeah, it's just not the same, right? It's just not the same. And I'm like, so my sister sent me an email birthday card. I get like 2 seconds. It got about 2 seconds from me, and I tossed it. But a handwritten card, I won't do that. How many of you keep cards that people write to you? Look at that. Everybody look around. You have a shoebox, you have a little place in your desk, and you keep them. And you know, if I'm ever struggling, sometimes, you know, we all go through periods of time where, you know, life just doesn't seem to be working. You pull out a few of those cards and you read them, and you're reminded of the good, and you're reminded of the progress that you've made. So this is significant, and it really doesn't matter. Notice that the college kids, did you notice they raised their hand? Because I've been told that it doesn't work with, you know, Zoomers, it doesn't work with, you know, younger generation. That's just not true. A handwritten card, as Tucker said, he told me this yesterday, it means a lot when someone takes the time to write me a card. And it's also, if I can use this word, nostalgic, because it's something that's not typical, right? You're typically getting emails, you're typically getting texts, you're bombarded with social media. And so now you go out and you get this snail mail card that somebody paid for, wrote, you know, sealed, took to the post office. That represents an investment. They just invested their time, which is actually more important than the money, their time into you. And it means something. So this is why we focused on cards. I said, okay, let's send cards. So we went and Dayspring cards. Anybody hear of Dayspring before? Okay, you won't hear it much more because they've gone bankrupt. And so you won't be able to buy them anymore. Anyway, so Dayspring has been pretty much the religious card maker for a long time. So we buy Dayspring cards. Does anybody want to theorize what difficulties buying religious cards from a denominational source poses? The messages inside are not always useful. Sometimes you have to throw them away and say, okay, well, can't use that card. I can't use that card. Okay, I'll take this card. And so so Hannah said, Dad, why don't I make cards? And so Hannah said, why don't I just design cards? And I said, oh, okay, go design cards. But it was, God had a much bigger vision for this. So she designs 10 cards, and the churches gobble them up. She designs 20 more cards. They gobble them up. And so it just has grown and grown and grown. And so now we tailor-make the card. What we do is we go to an area like Waldorf. We ask, what is the #1 site in your area? What does everybody like to see? All right, and they give me a list, and we go take pictures, and we make cards, and we put Waldorf, Maryland on the bottom right-hand side. And we do the same thing everywhere we go. And so we've built up about 160 cards. Now we have them in Spanish. So we have a Spanish ministry. We actually have a Spanish regional trainer. His name is Marlon Ratana. We actually helped get him into the country. He's in the process of getting the green card. He's on a work visa right now, and he's working for us. He's translating everything we've got into Spanish. We share him with World Video Bible School, and we love Marlon. He goes on trips with us. He'll go to, for example, we just were up, we were up in Silver Springs. Y'all remember Silver Springs? Okay, Marlon was there. He was teaching the Spanish congregation. So he now has translated these cards into Spanish. So that's how it started. So we have had a lot of experience on successes and failures. So I want to give you a little bit of history. When we first started this, we would just all write cards. I'd take 40 cards, put them in the mail. Getting 40 cards in like one day is a little bit overwhelming. Okay, so in fact, it's almost too in your face. So we decided to start scrolling back. So we would do it for 6 weeks. We just keep sending cards for 6 weeks like that. So we scaled it back, and now we think we have a great middle ground. I'm going to share what that is and what it looks like. All right, so let's go ahead and start. Is it clicked? Is it? Just a second. See if we get this. All right. Oh, all right. Very good. The Bible says in Jude verse 22, this is a great verse, and this is actually the launching point for compassion cards. On some, having compassion making a difference. So Jude is writing, and he makes this statement about compassion. Well, this correlates directly with Jesus. Because there are several compassion statements about Jesus throughout Scripture, about how Jesus had compassion on the people. He would see the people and be moved with compassion. Compassion is a hospitality trait. It's one of the tools we use in order to reach people. So compassion makes a difference in people's lives. People can be compassionate. In fact, I got a text this morning from someone that was struggling a little bit, and I wrote them back, and I could have been negative. I could have been sharp, and I don't want to be because I love my brethren. And I just said I was kind because I want to be kind. Kindness is a characteristic of being a Christian, and in fact, it's when Christianity, what it does is it filters you, and it keeps your worst being from coming out. We all have that person inside of us that it's not pleasant. So what Christianity does, even in Jason, I'll use you as an example. Jason owns his own business, and I know he works with people that are not probably always what they should be. They don't pay on time. They tell him things that are not true. And Jason has to filter out the inner Jason that could come out and maybe not be as kind. And sometimes it happens. It just happens with all of us. I think of business owners and being a Christian and working with the public, but you're also a Christian. They know you are, and well, there's some challenges there, And so it is the case here that what compassion does is it releases a kindness and helps people realize you genuinely care about them. I want to go ahead and look at the model real quick. This is the model we use. Please understand, this is not my preaching model. This is my training model. Sometimes people don't realize or even see the difference. There is a preaching model, and I'm going to share it with you. The preaching model is based completely off the life of Christ. It uses only those words that Jesus uses. But this is a training model, and it's used to help people make it operational, make it practical, and make it executable. If you cannot make something executable, it really doesn't matter. Because this is what we find in pulpits. We have sermons, and the members don't know what to do with the sermon. They hear it, they say, oh, yes, that's right, but they don't know how to execute it in their life. So what I did is I made an executable training. This is a model that you can actually execute based on what Jesus taught. So what did Jesus teach us to do? He teaches us to make contacts. That's the beginning of evangelism. And I'm going to stress this throughout this entire week. In fact, Tucker, would you help me real quick? Grab a couple students. Pass a pack of these out to everybody. I'm just going to give you the training cards. And so everybody gets those. They're in the front. And I have 18 of them. I have 18 of these cards. So these are not as cool as the Apologetics press cards that you were passing out, David. I know those are great, to all the kids. Those are cool cards. If I had those when I was, young, I'd have been so stoked. Those are so awesome. Apologetics Press has done such a great job with those trading cards, right? They have. Yeah, everybody gets one pack. Everybody gets one pack. I'm sorry. Yeah, they're all rubber band together. So inside these packs, you have 18 training cards. These are the cards we use to train churches. Now, obviously, you're not going to train a church in a week. Okay, this represents months and months and months, and maybe a year or more of training. So you begin with card 1, which is this card right here. It looks like this. It's the blue card. And what we want to do is help our members understand that there is a model based on the life of Christ that we're trying to develop in our church. And that model begins with contacts. And so we show them the progression. They have to see this. Coach, I know you and I, you have more coaching experience than I do. I coached for just 10 years. But I know this, when I take my players into the locker room, when I would put the whiteboard or the chalkboard or whatever it is, and I would take the video up, there has to be a structure for them to understand where do they fit. Linebackers, wide receivers, or if you're in basketball, the point guard, the wing. What's my job? The point guard does not have to be proficient in what the forward does or the center does, but they have to understand what the center does. They don't have to do what the center does, but they have to understand what the center does. If the point guard doesn't understand the purpose of the center, what that center person is, and I grew up in the San Antonio Spurs era, because I grew up in San Antonio. Tony Parker, David Robinson, and you had Tim Duncan. And Tony Parker knew exactly what to do with the ball, but he could not do what Tim Duncan could do. He couldn't do it. But he knew he had to get it to him. He knew he had to some way get, because he knows when they get the ball, they will know what to do. I want you to think about churches in the light of basketball. Okay? So you're the point guard. You know your job, and you're good at what you do, but you also have to understand what everybody else is. But Tim Duncan, who's one of the greatest centers in NBA history, lots of rings, okay? He's got the rings to prove it. So he grabs the ball as a center, but you know what? He knows sitting out here is Manu Ginobili, who's an incredible European player that set records in the NBA, and he knows over here is Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is, it's an incredible three-point shooter. And he doesn't have to be any of those people, but he knows. He's got them. He understands that that's what they're going to do. Can you open up your mind to the possibility in a church of Christ if we could do something similar? If the elders and the deacons and the members could understand there are people in our churches that we got to get them the ball because they have an ability to do something I can't do by myself. Because there are no Michael Jordans in the Church of Christ. There's just none of us. And Michael Jordan had a unique, uncanny ability to carry teams. And so unique that it's historic. There's been only very few players like that in the history of sports. But even then he needed some help. In our churches, we become a Michael Jordan by working together. We become effective by all playing team ball. By understanding that there's a model. And guess what, guys? You all fit in there. Tucker, you're in that model somewhere. But you know, so is Cynthia right over here. She's in that model too. And Eric Sykes is in that model. And Jamail, you're in that model. And it doesn't matter who you are. Kat, you're in that model. We're all in there somewhere. Some of you are in multiple places. Some of you are in just one place. I can't tell you, where you're at, but I know you're there. But may I suggest this? In a local church, we're all in the contact step. Who can't make a contact? I mean, who can't tell us, hey, I've got a neighbor, I got a friend, a family member, a student in my class, I met a guy at the grocery store, I met this lady over at the gas station, I found this person here eating breakfast this morning. I'm really asking who can't do that? Well, anybody who's still accountable can do that. Some are not accountable. They're no longer able. Their sun is set. I get that. But those of us whose sun is still somewhere on the horizon, maybe it's just coming up, maybe it's setting, but we can still see your sun. All right, you're still accountable. All right, you can be right there at point one. And we're going to talk more about this as this week progresses. Because I know of right now 28 contact creators. That's how many I know about that are working. Now I know that everybody's got an idea, and until that idea is proven, it doesn't go in my list. You have to have an idea that's proven not just once, multiple times in multiple places before we're going to adopt it. And why would I be any different? If you went to Microsoft and said, I got this great new program or great new algorithm and our idea, what are they going to say? Test it, test it, test it, test it again, test it over here, and then come back and give us your data, and then we'll see if it helps Microsoft. Why would I be any different for the Church of Christ? Why would I just throw money away at some idea that I have no idea if it even works or not? And so what I'm looking for are things that are functional. And I don't have to come up with the idea. Jonathan, I don't mean to embarrass you, but I want to use this. Jonathan, after we went to Aberdeen, comes back and says, Jonathan was an evangelist before I ever got to Aberdeen. He's a soul winner. And I recognized that immediately about him. I said, this guy's different. And he says, Rob, have you ever thought about spotlighting baptisms? And I said, what does that mean? He explained it to me. I said, that's brilliant, Jonathan. He explained to me the results again. I said, this is great. So I tried it, and it worked for us. I said, okay. I said, this is something that we can add. I said, Jonathan, would you write part of the curriculum for me? And he did. He took his time, and we developed something now we share with all the churches. It's called spotlighting, which means you highlight. A baptism should be highlighted and spotlighted in your church. It should be the center point. It should be like a birthday. And everybody should know it should not. And how many of us have experienced this? It should not be something that's read in the announcements when no one's paying attention and then forgotten seconds later. And that's how most churches handle baptisms. It is pitiful. It is terrible. And it should be the highlight, a highlight of your Sunday. And we can make that happen. And Jonathan is a great way of doing that. And he does it every time. I love it. I love what he does, and we'll probably talk about it. So we're pulling, what I'm saying is I'm pulling out from you. And it may be that I learned something from Tucker or Caleb or one of you guys, one of you girls. You may teach us something and say, hey, this works, and I won't know about it. And our school will adapt that and will develop and create. So contact's one. Now let's go to where we're at, prospects. Prospects, that's your cards. There's a lot of prospecting tools. I'm not a single tool guy, but I'll tell you that this right here is probably my go-to lure. Anybody ever fished before? If you ever gone fishing, raise your hand. Okay, in my house, I've got a tackle box. I don't use it often because I'm not a huge fisherman, But when I go out, I do have a lure or two that I know they give me fish, okay? And then I got a ton of other lures. But I'm going to go to my go-to lure, right? You got one thing you know, that one is right, that's a good one. This is my go-to lure, compassion cards. Categories of cards, all right? So you got to have categories. And so when you were going out door knocking, you were asking get well, sympathy, praying, visitors, new movers, restoration, newcomers, thank you, encouragement. You're not going to go to Walmart and buy restoration cards. It's not going to happen. They don't care. There's not enough money in restorations, all right? But we have them. We have them. And so it's not about monetizing. It's about making it effective to bring people back. I will tell you this, guys, by the way. If you'll follow our restoration curriculum and use the restoration cards, I guarantee you'll get people back. I guarantee it always happens. And so, again, it requires the church to work together, and we've got the tool to do it. And so this right here is these are our categories. Now, let's look at our prospect list. Again, that's on page 105 of your book. You've already turned there. That right there is essential. You will not be effective as a church if you don't have a prospect list. You've got to have a centralized list that reveals who are we trying to reach. And it should not be top secret. It should not be something that only the preacher sees. The members have to know about this. The members cannot help you if they do not know. And so you keep this in a filing cabinet locked away. They have no idea who you're reaching. They have no clue. And then of course we have those, and I'm not making fun. I'm very practical. And if you can prove me wrong, I will listen to you, because I want to do what's best for the kingdom. But we always have the digital guy out there who's everything's digital, everything's technology. Oh, well, we got an app. But the problem is your church does not all use app. All right? And there's a lot of people in churches who do not use app. And so they want something printed. They want to see it with their hand. So you can have your app. That's fine. And there are good apps out there. There are good apps out there. But you need to have a printed list. Just like you have a printed bulletin that people can pick up and they can look at. Now, do you see what that's called on the top there? What does that say, everybody? Prospect list. If you're a prospect, Tucker, I'm going to use you as an example. Tucker's a prospect. He's the guy that's been visiting. He walks in. He picks this list up and says, prospect list, Tucker Gates. How do you feel? Weird. Like really strange. We don't call it. This is a training class. I don't call it that out in the public. I'm going to use other terms like prayer list. So if you picked up a list that said praying for Tucker, how would you feel now? Yes, right. It's a whole. All I did is change the wrapping. That's all I did. Okay, you could call it the compassion card list. You can call it the love list. You can call it whatever you want, the kindness list. But those are terms that people love to see. So when you print it, Mrs. Secretary, or whoever it is that prints, all right, do not call it that. Change the name, all right? Now, here's how it looks. Bob Smith, restoration, a relationship, co-worker of Mary Jones. So Mary Jones has submitted this name, and we identify who this, so we can ask Mary Jones if need be. And we have description, cancer, address, 123 Foothills Drive, Red Springs, Kentucky. And notice, so now we all know kind of where and how to, why, how, where. But look at this, multiple. What does that mean? That means we're going to send multiple cards, multiple weeks. Single means one card, one card. Now you say, why would you just do one card? I'll explain. You have somebody on the list for a protracted period of time, right? And you realize that this is going to be a while. Cancer treatments are 3 to 6 months. They're not going to be ready for us to do a lot until that's over, okay? You don't keep sending them all those cards for that makes no sense. They know you love them. You've already got 50, 60 cards. Now it goes to one card and everybody signs it. So you switch it from multiple to single. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Okay, because you're investing, and I'll give some numbers to those of you who are elders, leaders, and even if you're not, as a member, you need to understand this. If you're a church of 100 people, okay, and you have 10 prospects, those 10 prospects cost you. There's a cost to that, Joe. You got a line item in your budget now. Because you're making an investment in the business community. I did not go to school for this, but I picked up the terms. It's called customer acquisition fees. Does anybody know what that means? So a business says, okay, I got 5,000 customers. How much did it cost you to get 5,000 customers? If it costs you more than they're giving you, you're still bankrupt. How much did it cost you to get that customer? Well, I don't want to treat people like customers, but the concept is this, okay? There are people out here, and if you don't invest in them, they don't give you a return on that investment. You're going to have to invest your time into that particular individual in order to help them. Now, let's talk about a card. You write a card, okay, there's a 45-cent investment. You put a stamp on it, okay, you just made an additional, what's a stamp now, guys? How much is a stamp? 78 cents. So now, thank you, yes, 78 cents. Well, of course, we've designed our cards to cheat that a little bit, or to help you, and we're going to talk about that. But you're now over $1, right, for that one card. But listen to this. You're sending multiple cards for multiple days. So you can see how quickly that one person is not $1. They're more than $1. And so now you start adding it up and you realize that you're going to be spending per week so much on each person that you're trying to reach out to. So I had a church recently, they're a church of like 20 people. And I said, how many prospects do you have? They said 37. I said, hey, 37? Does anybody see a problem with that? 20 people, 37 prospects? There's no way on earth there's no way on earth you have the resources. And I know that. It's impossible for you to prospect 37 people with a membership of 20. It will never work. And I said, wait, did you not read the curriculum? What do you mean? I said, did you not read the line that said to keep your prospects at about 10% of your membership? Which means if you're a church of 100, it's around 10, maybe 12. You're pushing it at 13, 14. But if you get much past then, your members will revolt against you. You know why? Let me show you why the members revolt. Can't write any more cards, it hurts. Would you rub my thumb right there for me a little? Have you ever had that? Rub right there for me. Because ladies, you know what I'm talking about, right? You can only do so much, right? And the budget only allows for so much. So I'm giving you, in this campaign, I give you a lot more information than I give the average church because I don't have time. So that's important to understand there are multiple singles. Now, who goes on the prospect list? Non-Christian sinners. Those on the bookmark. Those who are sick or having surgery. Those who lost a loved one. Those to whom you have delivered new mover baskets. Those whom you visited your services. Those who are baptized. Those who are wayward. Who does not go on. Please pay attention to this. This is very important. So when Sister Sheila comes up and says to Jason, she says, Sister Sue over here has been a charter member of this church, and I know we're sending all these cards to these non-Christians out here, but she's a Christian. And don't you think we need to send the cards to her too and put her on the list? Now, Jason's an elder. He understands. He's had this happen. Okay? So you're sitting there as an elder saying, okay, she's a charter member. She never asked us for anything. You know a member is good? Let me tell you how elders know if you're a good member or not. You want to know the secret of how elders know if you're good? They don't mention you in elders meetings. Right, Dave? If you have to mention the members, there's a problem. And I've been in elders meetings before. Now, there's certain people we mention every time. And you're high maintenance. We talk about you all the time because we're always trying to figure out how to work with you because you're difficult. And you don't want to be that person. You do not want to be that person that we're talked about every time we meet. All right? So Jason, how do you respond to that when she says that? What do you say when she says, can you put me on the list? Can you put one of our members on the list? Because you got to have a response to this. Well, here's the response. We love her, and we're going to put her on our bulletin prayer list, and we'll be praying for her, and we'll send one card. Everybody can sign it. But Sister Sheila, that prospect list is only for the lost, and we're so glad she's not lost. Now, you say, well, Rob, why wouldn't you just let her be on the list? Just get along. Just create peace. You can give a little bit. Okay, let's do that. Let's follow your line of thinking. Because I know that, I know, Tabitha, you're that giving person, and you would do that. So, okay, yeah. So here's what happens. So, okay, yeah. Now we got Brother Bob over here. Brother Bob says, I've been a charter member of this church for 45 years, and don't you think that my name needs to be on the list too? So, okay, Bob, we'll put your name. So, I'll tell you what literally happened. I had a church call me, and they said, Rob, we got a problem. I said, what is it? Our prospect list is full of members. We have not one sinner on the list. And I promise you, brethren, if you don't stick to your guidelines, that's what happens. It happens every single time. Do not put the members on the unless they're lost. If they're a prodigal, I put them on the list. I will do everything I can to bring them back. That is an evangelistic list. Is everybody with me on that? So important. But you know, it's so simple. It took me years to figure this out. Has a trial and error. All right, there it is. Those who are members of the Lord's Church. Another congregation. Well, you know, Brother Tim over here at the church, you know, he's just been diagnosed with cancer. We need to put him on the list. Put him on your bulletin prayer list, not on that list. All right. Now, prospect list. It needs to be printed, not digital. Printed on Sunday for your compassion card groups. Have everyone ready except for the visitors that come. In other words, you may have to add visitors on Sunday to the list. It's real simple. I don't think that needs explanation. How do I get my compassion card group started? That's just a kind of a general guideline. You can change that as needed. But a church usually of 25 to 50 members would have 2 groups. A church of 50 to 100 members usually has 3. 100 more, 4. If you can get 4 groups, all right, that's a great place to be because it's every week you have a different group. You're not wearing people out. Somebody says, what do you do on 5 Sunday weeks? That's when we have the elders, deacons, and preachers do that. And so you don't have to complicate it. So that's for the church leaders. Let them do the 5th Sunday weeks. And we've done that for a long time. All right, don't put out sign-up sheets. Everyone goes on a team. That is very important. We never use sign-up lists. I am against them. I think they're sinful. All right, sign-up lists only cause problems. And if you would like to sit here for 5 minutes, I'll tell you lots of stories. You'll laugh about sign-up lists. Sign-up lists are disasters. Strong leaders do not need sign-up lists. Strong leaders know where you belong. And they will say, you need to be here. Amen. And we need you to do this. We need you to do this. Sign-up lists create so many problems for elders that are not intentional, but they create them. So when it comes to compassion cards, all right, here's what I'd suggest. Everybody goes on a team. I really don't care if you want to sign a card or not. You're going on the team. And we're going to put you in a team. We're going to put you on the PowerPoint. We're going to put you in the bulletin. We're going to print lists. We're going to put you on the displays. And we're going to send an snail mail to your house and say, this is your team. We're going to announce you like your name will be called from the pulpit. No, seriously, when we start this is what I do. I mean, you can't miss it. Like, you're on it. No one can say, well, I didn't know I was on a team. No, you will know. You will know you're on that team. Now, why is that? Why is that? Because I need your help. That's why. I really need your help on this. I can't have you just slipping by. Now, if you want to go to the judgment and say, now, God, I refuse to send anyone in this community a card, go be my guest. Do you really want to do that? I mean, do you really want to be that person? By the way, that's how I preach it, Elliot. I preach it just like that. Sometimes our members just need to have a little bit of the job of a preacher is to afflict the comfortable and comfort the afflicted. And sometimes our comfortable members need to have the toe stepped on just a little bit. But make sure they know you love them. I don't do it out of spite or hate. I do love the brethren. But sometimes we have to call them out and say, hey, you got to step up here. You got to grow a little bit with this because, you just can't sit in the pew and put it on, in neutral. We need you to assist us. We need your help. So that is important right there. Now, how do I get my compassion card group started? Divide entire congregations into groups, select coordinators of the work. So you'd have a coordinator that coordinates the compassion cards and group leaders. I'm often asked about ladies, right? Can a lady be a coordinator? Can a lady be a group leader? I think it sends the wrong message because we live in an era where we find some of our churches are not honoring what God says about the role of women. I think that women can be great organizers. And I always tell a church, hey, make the ladies organizers. They can organize your card team. They can organize the cards. They can set out the cards. When it comes to the word leader, men need to step up and lead. Because that is your job, men. Your job is to do that. And when our men don't do the job, then we have ladies stepping in, and then it just gets out of hand. And we have seen that in a lot of churches of Christ, and it is a problem in our churches today. So let's not feed the beast. How do I get my compassion card group started? Put all teams on a PowerPoint for a week or 2. Put it on a bulletin board. Make announcements. Email. Mail it. I've done all of these. I mean, actually, when we did every one of those to make sure no one was left out. How do I get my Compassion Cards group started? Repeat. So in the first week, one of the elders gets up and reads all the names in the first group. So you literally, David, would get up and say, group 1 is, read each name, go to this room at this time, the elder, and you would have already talked to him. So I believe, and I like what you said this, Tucker, or we were talking, you called it the shoulder tap method. See, I didn't call it officially that, but I'm going to do it now. You taught me something. The shoulder tap method is, can we talk to you guys after churches for a minute? And an elder is going to pull you aside and say, we really need you guys to help us. We're going to have some card writing, and we need your help. Would you help us? Try to tell an elder no and go to heaven. Just try. Do you really want to tell an elder no? I mean, I'm serious. Do you want to go to God in judgment? Because Hebrews 13:17 says, obey them that have the rule over you. They have authority. They have the highest level of authority in the world. No one has more authority than an elder. They cannot make up doctrine, no. But they, in matters of judgment and expediency, they can make decisions, and you should respect their decisions. You don't want to go into judgment being rebellious to the elders. Korah tried that. It did not work well for him. The earth swallowed him. And so I don't want to be swallowed. All right? So have cards selected and address complete before the meeting. So you would have everything. So just like you're doing here, we're demonstrating this. Do y'all notice y'all went into that room and everything's set up, all the cards? Did you have to address anything? No. It's all done for you. Return addresses, it's all done for you. Do you have to lick it? No. You do not want to lick envelopes. All right? Oh, all right. What gets pushed gets praised. What gets praised gets pushed. So you should push, praise. And you'll get people doing it. Strategically mail the cards. So this is metrics I'm going to give you. 3 to 4 weeks is what we normally use as the length of card sending. If you only do it 1 or 2 weeks, they hardly get the point. When you do 3 or 4 weeks, they get the point. 5 or 6 weeks is overkill, and that is tested. We have tested that. So that's an optimal time frame to mail cards. All right? So you're going to mail multiple cards, 2 to 3 cards per day, not 30 cards, 2 to 3. So if you're on a budget, it's real slim, 2 cards. But if you can afford the 3, do 3. All right? So send as many cards as you can, at least 3 per day, or that says at least 3. We've actually knocked that down to 2 because we tested it. It should be 2 to 3 a day. Send cards evenly, 5 on Monday, 5 on Tuesdays. In other words, if you're going to send out cards, don't send them all out once. Divide it up. Divide it up among, the days of the week. We use Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday as our track. Now, questions I often get. Can you write cards from home? That's fine, but it should be limited to those who are homebound. Okay? Because as soon as you open it up, it's like virtual worship, which I don't think is a thing, but most people do. I don't think it's a thing. But they say, let's worship virtually. All right? I like congregational worship. People are together. Worship requires us to be together. But I know if you're homebound, it's not a sin to watch it on a video. It's not a sin. You are excused anyway. You're homebound, right? You're already excused. We call that excused absence. We call that the blue slip. When I was in high school, you got instead of the red slip, you got the excused absence slip, meaning that you're okay. All right? So anyone who is homebound, we're going to say, yes, we will be glad to bring those cards to your house. We'll drop them off, and we'll pick them up later. Or you can mail them. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but I would suggest strongly that you do not start making this the norm. As soon as you do that, the program falls apart. They need to spend a little time together writing cards. All right, so, and we also want to keep track of it, and although you tell me you're going to do it, sometimes I'm just going to say you make honest mistakes and you don't get it done. And that hurts our effort. Number 2, do I put my personal address on the return address? No, but the church's information, because we're glorifying the church, not you. And so, lastly, you sign your name at the end of the card, make it personal. You need to have a business card with the church info to put in the card. So we always put a little card in one of the envelopes that says, Waldorf Church of Christ, an invitation card. We put it so they know it's from Waldorf, and they keep getting this from Waldorf. So we put that in. Have you display the card just like we've done? So the reason you guys are going to do cards is so you can see what it looks like in a congregational model. That's exactly so when the members walk in to the room on Sunday evening, afternoon, whenever it is you do it, all right, that's what it looks like. So one of these ladies, sweet ladies, you've taken time to do this. Like you have gone, up and you've stacked the cards, you've got it all ready. And so you say, well, Rob, why did you let people pick out cards? Remember the man that picked out the cards? Sorry for your loss. We do not allow that to happen. Please do not do that. Men would rather take a bullet to the leg than pick out cards. Okay, every wife knows that. And David, have you ever gone to the store with your wife? David, do you like this card? What do you say? Yes. And then what did she say? No, that's not right. Put it back. But, okay, David, now let's go to the other way. Let's go the other way. All right, David, she picks out a card, you look at it and you say, no, honey, I don't think that's, what's wrong with that card? Do you not trust my judgment? It doesn't matter what you do. You're wrong, okay? And so do not trust men to pick cards out. Just don't do it. But the women, they love cards. But why do we want 20 women picking out cards? I'll explain it to you. You go to the store, and she says, no, it's not that one. No, it's not that one. And this sweet little lady here picks up, oh, no, I want that card. Now, and so what happens is you have the ladies that spend 20 minutes to pick out one card, and that's not going to work. And you have also the ladies say, you got my card, that's the one I wanted to use. Then you have the ladies also that say, well, now we're duplicating cards. I mean, it becomes obsessive and a disaster, and it doesn't function anymore. But, as Charlotta, if you would go and pick out the cards and make stacks for everybody, just like that. See, this sweet sister here writing the cards doesn't know what cards you're writing, so she don't know if there's a duplicate or not. And she didn't have to pick them out. And she just has them sitting there. She's going to do whatever card you picked out, and she don't even know there are any more cards. And it makes things work very well. And no one has hurt feelings. And because this is about functionality. Because you're dealing with a large group, not with one person. And you've got to be a team player. When you're on a team, there's no I in team. Everyone understands this is the greater good. All right? And yes, there may be a more perfect card. That's not the point. The point is they're going to get 40 and 50 cards over the next 3 weeks, and they're going to be moved with compassion. So don't stand in your own way. Don't step on your own toes. So that's important. So that's why we set it up like that. I'm willing to listen. If you've got a better way, teach us. We have tested this for a long time. And there may be something I'm missing, but this works really well. All right. How do we organize? Some churches use a variety. These are old bookshelves on the left-hand side that no one uses the library anymore, so they just use it for cards. On the right-hand side, that's kind of a shoebox model, right? In the middle, that's kind of like a display case with some plexiglass you can use. And ladies, do y'all have any of those shoe holders in your closets where you put your shoes in them? Like, because you have so many shoes and you put them in. Ladies have the shoe holders. Do any men have shoe holders? Okay, I don't think so. Okay, so like we have 3 pair. Oh, Eric Sykes has a shoe holder. Oh, boy. Sandy, all right. Oh, Russell says if I do, I'm not telling you. So, all right. But anyway, but you know what? Those are excellent for holding cards. If you are space restrained, like some churches have small spaces, they don't have extra room, get your shoe holders and put the cards in the shoe holders. Works very well. I don't know if you've seen the War Room, but my daughter, she has those craft bins, they're on wheels, and she has all of them in there. We do that for traveling purposes, so we go to PTP and other places. She just pulls the drawer and has them right there. There's a lot of ways to do it, but here's the point. It's got to be organized. If it's not organized, it will not function. There's 160 different designs, and you got to have get well, praying for you, and also generic cards, and they can be duplicated or. In other words, more than one category applies to different situations. So you have plenty of variety here. Now, who fills out the cards? The members. And I want to emphasize the children. I want to emphasize children should be involved in this. Even the little one right back here you're holding, she can fill out a card. And what we have is color by number cards, and you've seen some of those already. We have a lot of cards designed for children, and their card will mean more than your card. And I guarantee it. We actually had a Baptist preacher come to the church. He had retired from preaching, and he walks inside and says, yeah, I'm the Baptist minister from... And I said, oh, yeah, glad you're here. I said, do you know someone? Yeah, little Ella. And he said, I've been driving bus now. Little Ella sent me a card and colored it. Now, y'all sent me 40 cards, but I'm here for her card. And So that means something. So don't underestimate. And what do you do when you're teaching your children to sing cards? What do you teach them? Evangelism. And, like I said, from the stroller, my son has been door knocking. My daughter's been door knocking in strollers, literally. And so it's normal to them. Like, it's abnormal not to. It's abnormal. It's like teaching your children to give. It really bothers me when children don't give. I'm like, what are you teaching them as a parent? They need to give, because if they're giving when they're little, they're going to give when they're older. But when I'm sitting in a pew and I'm watching college students and high school students who never give, there's a problem. It's not going to get resolved when you get your job. It gets worse. All right? So we teach our children from the youngest of ages how to do those things. We teach them how to write cards. We teach them how to practice evangelism. So that's very important. So I love to read these. I love these. So these are reports from the field. I'm not going to read all of them for time's sake, but I want you to hear from them what it does. All right. This is from Forest Hill in Memphis, Tennessee. Our family on the outreach list has a 12-year-old named JJ who is battling cancer. Some members visited them on a Sunday afternoon, and the family's response to the compassion cards was nothing short of inspiring. JJ has been so encouraged by the cards that he goes to the mailbox daily looking for them. JJ's dad is in a job transition that has him at work on Sunday for now, but he plans to bring the whole family to meet the church in a matter of weeks. When he heard that the church's only goal is to follow the Bible, he made it clear that is exactly what he's trying to find. That's what happens when you engage in a card ministry. So most of our card ministries focus on who? Be honest. So you got a card ministry at church, who are you sending them to? The elders, the preachers, the members, right? That's typical. Like, the preacher has a, cold, let's send him cards. I'm not against cards. Send me cards. They have a birthday, send cards. And ladies, if you're in the habit of sending birthday, anniversary, and cards to members, please keep doing that. It means something to us. I am not in any way diminishing what you're doing. So when we go to a church, and the elder said, Rob, we got these great group of ladies that come up once a week and send cards. Of course, it's always to members, pretty much. I said, let's keep that separate. Keep writing your cards to the members. Separate this and make this an evangelistic group. You can't mix them. Does anybody know why you can't mix them? Because it's completely different in purpose and design. And so it's so different that mixing them will always, and to Elder David, always cause you problems. Every single time. It will always cause division. It will always cause hurt feelings every single time. And I tell elders this. I said, brethren, I love you guys. As elders, I just want to make sure that you don't experience these problems because I've seen it over and over again. Or we'll just mix them and no, you won't. I'm telling you, you're going to get hurt feelings. We want our members to get cards. I love to get cards, okay? But this is very different, and just keep that in mind. Let's go to this one. This is Central Church of Christ in Alabama. The individual who reported that she did not need or want our help has softened her stance. This happened after she began receiving the compassion card. So here's hard soil. How do you plant in hard soil, Elliot? You're a gardener. You cultivate it. You have a colopactor, gets the rocks out, or you have teenagers get the rocks out. That's what my dad used me for. And manure, I did plenty of that too. Horse manure, you bring it in, very good fertilizer, right? Then you take the old tiller and kick it 20 times and put your shoulder out of socket trying to start it. You ever done that before, Tucker? Okay, he's laughing because he knows I'm serious. And then the soil, all of a sudden, it grows things. That's what we're doing. You're working with people that some of them have a very negative view to churches. Rightly so. A negative view to Christians. Rightly so. You're having to change that view. And how do you change it? Love. Compassion. This is Monticello Church of Christ in Arkansas. There's a great reason to rejoice. After Bible class on Wednesday night, Nicole was baptized. She moved into town from California a year ago and has been trying to find a congregation to attend. She brought her son to our fall festival and began to visit after receiving cards for 3 weeks, just like the model teaches. After going through Back to the Bible, just like the model teaches, she put on Christ. She mentioned that she decided to visit because of the cards. She had received, her husband Brandon had been attending the studies. After a few visits and a forced study of Doesn't Matter, Brandon put on Christ yesterday afternoon before evening Bible class. If you get Reaching the Lost, which is our weekly update, you read this every week. This happens every single week. But this is a church that does it right. They understand how the concepts work. All right? Someone says, well, what if I'm in a church and they won't do it like this? Bottom up. Get a few people and start doing it with a small group. and hopefully, eventually, the church will get on board. So I call that bottom-up evangelism. It's when you can't start with the top down. And sometimes it's just because the leaders don't know. They don't know what they don't. They're not bad people. They just don't know. And so you have to help teach them. And they're not used to it. They've never been exposed to this before. So realize that most of your brethren are good, generous people. And our job is to help them learn, right? And sometimes it takes a while. It's okay. All right, let's go to Sunset. This is Zach. Anybody remember Zach from AMC? I love Zach. That's right. Zach is a worker. And so Zach is now in Warner Robins. He just moved to preach there. We had 2 baptisms last week. Both are converts from denomination. They visited and received their gift bags. That's something we teach. Then they received 30 to 40 cards in the mail, followed up visits, dinners, and Bible studies. Wow, sounds like he's been here to AMC. Which led to baptisms. The process works. That's Zach Williams, incredible evangelist. This young man baptized, I think, 25 or 28 last year. People, this literally took a church that was about to close their doors. I mean, they were heading down and just revived the entire congregation. It's incredible. This is in Sunset, Arkansas. All right. Covington, that's where our friend is from here. Josh, we are seeing positive effects from sending compassion cards. We receive thank you cards. From a family, we're prospecting with cards. So they get a card, and then they send a card back thanking them for the card. My wife does that. She gets a card and they'll send you a card thanking you for the card. Did any of you ladies do that? All right, there she is. I knew it. You get a card and you send, or thank you for the card. Thank you for the card that you sent a card. It just keeps going. It's like pen pals. All right. They are blown away by the fact that someone who does not even know them personally would care that much. All right. La Plata. Oh, how about that? I wonder where that came from. Let's see if we can read about La Plata. You better have told the truth, Eric Sykes, because everybody's going to read it. All right. A family of 5 visited with whom we were sending cards due to cancer. He said he's the pastor of a nearby denomination and came by to meet the congregation, who showed a fellow they didn't know so much love and compassion. This ministry is very powerful. Thanks to your mail system, the cards did not come all at one time, but 2 or 3 cards daily for several weeks and from all different folks. The cards helped him get through the treatments and therapy. Central Church of Christ, Kentucky, we're blessed to have a couple who had urged from the church visit us yesterday. That's a restoration effort. They were blown away by the number of cards they'd received, and the wife kept some in her purse. Fort Glen, Missouri, Jerseyville, Illinois, Sunset, Arkansas, New Concord Church of Christ, Ohio, Carthage, North Carolina, Grayston, Texas. We have a Bible study scheduled next week with a couple, one of our first contacts who received cards. Collinsville, Troy. Jason, I'll have to read this one. Okay, all right. Evangelism is exciting. I wonder who wrote that. One thing is for sure, if there is no evangelism, nothing is what you can expect. That's right. Nothing produces nothing. We are still experiencing visitors coming to worship. That was the case this past Sunday. We gave our visitor bag, welcomed the returning visitors from the community, whose family members received compassion cards. She has agreed to a study. We took a basket to one of our contacts as a follow-up visit. When we arrived, their front door was decorated with compassion cards. Their front door was decorated. You remember that, Jason? Decorated. That's great. I want you to tell us more about that. Everyone involved was encouraged. Compassion cards create connections. We mailed out 132 cards this week and have ongoing Bible studies. You want to say anything about that?
Well, yeah, we went to that door and her front door was decorated. We went to another house. The lady, instead of painting her bathroom door, she decorated it with cards. And then someone that we're studying with now has a huge fish aquarium, and the base is decorated with compassion cards. So I showed those to the congregation to pump them up a little bit.
And you need to do that because the members need to know the effect they're having. So we want you guys to know you're not wasting time. This is important. We waste a lot of time in our churches, things that don't produce anything, but we do them anyway. We know this produces. We know you get results from this. That we know this is worthy of the investment you're making. And so that's why I go ahead and do this. So I want to thank everyone again for listening. And I want to give you some time to go and enjoy some snacks. So we'll bump up to, we'll give you 15 minutes and enjoy some snacks and drinks. But you can talk to some of these mentors in here that we have because they're all experienced the value of card writing. And come talk to Nicole, Hannah, or myself. By the way, those tables out there are full of materials. Those are for purchase. We give you as much as we can, but if you want additional materials, those will be open during the week, and Jared will take care of that. Some of you ask if you can buy some things, and yes, you can. All right, thank you guys. We'll break. She's been waiting to do that the whole time.